this is what I think is needed. But people, like, as a non-politician, people look at our members of parliament, and the MP's job is to protect the nation, first and foremost. Then their obligation is to the constituents that they represent, and thirdly, to their political parties. And they're making everything about politics. And it's a Conservative Party versus the Labour Party.
It was a Conservative politician that first said that, of course.
Yeah, but it's true. It's in the rules.
Winston Churchill.
As I understand it, it's in your job description.
Serve the nation first, yes.
And the government are not doing that today.
The government, of course, keeps saying it's serving...
The government are not.
What's that?
Members of
Are they not
Parliament
serving the national interest?
I think the Prime Minister is absolutely doing her best to serve the national interest. I don't necessarily agree with some of her judgments.
There's going to be a complete catastrophe.
So you don't believe in democracy? You want to overturn the referendum result?
Well, didn't we have a 5-year parliamentary election? We elected a 5-year parliament in 2015. Then 2 years later, after Theresa May said 6-7 times, we're definitely not having another general election until 2020, she had one 2 years later.
Well, let's have a listen to the Foreign Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, and what he has to say about the state of the negotiations.
We still disagree with the EU, which is Theresa May has said we will not agree to anything that involves the carve-up of the United Kingdom, having customs borders within our sovereign territory, and nor will we agree to indefinite membership of the customs union.
John, what's he talking about?
That's a good question.
Does he know?
The idea that you would somehow cobble together a trade deal in these very, very unique circumstances where you're trying to actually have some distance from a trading partner, not get closer to it, is absolute fantasy land. I think that we need some reality in this, and the Conservatives have actually just been feeding us a ton of lies, and it's been entirely chaotic. People's lives, people's livelihoods are on the line here, and that is what we should be talking about.
There's a lot of talk about the transition period being sort of 18 months or being extended by another year, but we're not even close to getting there yet. First, we have to get a withdrawal agreement. And the withdrawal agreement is in 2 parts. The first part is the legal technical separation of the United Kingdom from the European Union. That consists of 3 major things: the protection of citizens' rights, EU citizens in the UK and UK citizens in the European Union. Secondly, the financial settlement of our financial obligations, which are currently down to about £39 billion. The dates we're going to pay it, what's the payment plan, what years we're going to pay, how much are we going to pay when. And the third thing is finding a solution to make sure there's permanently never a border, a legal piece of text that says we will never put a border back on the island of Ireland. We have to do those 3 things first before we can even get to the second piece, which is just a political declaration about we might have some kind of future trade deal, Canada ++, Norway, it might be EEA membership, or it might be a UK special relationship, and it probably will be, but not for 8 to 10 years.
All right, we've introduced you, Jason, but our viewers probably don't know exactly who you are. So let's show them a little bit from one of your podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to our first broadcast of 3 blokes in a pub. I guess that's what we're going to call ourselves.
Drinking beer.
Drinking beer, obviously.
Hi, my name's Jason Hunter. I spent over a decade living and working in over a dozen different countries, inside and outside the European Union. I've negotiated billions of dollars of trade internationally, both within and without of the EU.
But just pick up, Jason, on what Sarah was saying. What about the intransigence of the EU and the way they have treated Theresa May? Does that not need some critical scrutiny?
Well, the EU is a rules-based organisation. The same as the World Trade Organisation is a rules-based organisation. Now, we know this because we helped write the rules over the last 40-odd years as members. So the European Union are bound by the Treaty of the European Union. They're bound by the Treaty for the Functioning of the European Union. They're also bound by other international treaties with another 60 countries around the world where they have other international trade agreements.
About their Can I just contest the basis of this? The EU obeys its own rules when it suits them. They didn't obey their own rules when the Eurozone was... Just a minute. Just a minute. I didn't interrupt you. They didn't obey their own rules when the Eurozone started collapsing, and they broke their no bailout rule. They started bailing out the economies that needed propping up. We told them the euro would be a disaster. We told them they would finish up bailing out. They assured us there would be no bailout. And that turned out to be a lie.
And yet the euro,
and do you know what? The European Court of Justice...
the British pound at the moment.
The European
saying that
the European Court of... The Eurozone will collapse. There is absolutely no question about it.
Another fantasy.
No, well, OK.
I mean, it might be your fantasy that the euro collapses, but it's a stronger currency than the British pound,
As we speak, the Italian banks are going through another liquidity crisis. And if they have... all the money in Germany would not be enough to bail out the Italian economy if they have a complete collapse.
Lucky they've got 27 other friends and neighbours who will help them out.
Yes.
They won't have to go begging to the International Monetary Fund or to Vladimir Putin.
Thank God we're leaving, otherwise the bill will be landing on our doorstep.
Well, that's categorically not true either, because David Cameron
You said 27 other members.
David Cameron came back and he got a categorical piece of legislation that said we will not have to take part in any...
Was that like the no bailout clause that was in the Maastricht Treaty?
Can Britain get a good deal at this stage? I mean, is Theresa May right?
With whom?
Well,
we need a deal with the rest of the world because we're losing trade deals with 87 other countries.
Most countries trade with or without trade deals. Most trade happens without trade deals. Our biggest trading partner is the United States. We don't have a trade agreement with the United States.
See, that, you don't know what you're talking about, Bernard. I'm sorry, I'm not having this.
Let Jason respond.
The European Union have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of cooperation agreements with the United States. The USA is our second biggest export market. They take 25% of everything we sell around the world.
So what you're saying, that trade's going to stop as soon as we leave the European Union with the United States? Is that what you're saying?
No, what happens is, with all of the countries, not just the United States, when we sell a widget today out of the UK to 87 countries around the world for £1, we'll be treated as a third country under WTO rules.
Right? And what does that mean for our trade, then?
What that means
is the United States will stop buying our widgets?
It means all of our customer companies all around the world, whether it's South Korea, United States,
You won't
Canada,
actually say
Mexico,
what you're implying. Of course, trade will continue.
They will have to apply import
And we
tariffs.
just had Singapore.
It is the Conservatives who are in charge of these negotiations, and they are going catastrophically.
They are.
You're going, obviously, on the march. That is tomorrow, in fact, isn't it? The People's Vote March for a second referendum. What do you think of May's response in terms of Labour's position? Do you think they should be clearer?
I try and stay away from politics, but...
Best of luck with that.
If we're in politics, don't pretend that you're not
Labour are playing a very genius...
Isn't a referendum a people's vote? I mean, what else is it? A goat's vote? I mean, who is voting if not people?
The Labour Party are playing a very clever political game, and it's strategy-wise, it looks great from the outside in business, because they're trying to be all things to all people. You can listen to...
But that's what opposition do.
Yeah, you can listen to... Len McCluskey, he'll tell you one thing. Jeremy Corbyn will tell you something else. Keir Starmer will tell you something else. John McDonnell will tell you a fourth different thing. So you can sit at home being a Labour Leave, a Labour Remain voter, and you can all think that the Labour's the party for you. And they're not either. They're just not putting their money where their mouth is.
In all this, let's wait. That's why I say
let's
wait and see until we've seen the final deal.
But you would be prepared to wait a little bit longer?
If we have to wait a little bit longer to get what is a good deal, I don't think anybody could argue against
you're saying you didn't know what you voted for before because we don't know what the final deal is.
The heart doesn't
I know you get to have another vote on it when you know what it is.
But I voted.
The heart